Welcome. We're just getting ready to get started here. And wow, I can't believe somebody showed up that quickly. But it's really good to see everybody. And I appreciate you showing up for the live stream on thermogenic adaptation. I'm Dr. Frank Cadle, and since January 1st, I've been engaging in the Get Fit and Be Lean program that combines calisthenics with a hearty and healthy diet rich in vegetables and fresh fruits. And through this, I have lost more than 20% of my body weight, over 50 pounds. I've lowered my cholesterol by 20 points. I have lowered my blood pressure by more than 20 millimeters of mercury. I've lowered my resting heart rate by more than 20 beats per minute, lost 5 inches off my waist. And one thing that I'm trying to do is make more current information available to people. I do that through my TikTok lives where I review recent research and some popular stories on recent research. But I also do it on Twitter. And so if you have any questions that seem like they might involve a little longer answer than we can do here on a live or on a 3-minute video, I would recommend that you go to my Twitter account, DRKADEL, and check out some of the articles that I've posted with the links. It's a lot easier to reach them that way. So what we find is that if someone is obese, even if they start exercising in such a fashion as it seems that they would really increase their energy expenditure, caloric output, that's not necessarily what happens in the long term. Our bodies are fascinating management specialists when it comes to dealing with calorie deprivation and increased activity. And anyone who exercises knows that you do occasionally have to switch things up if you want to continue to see gains in your athletic performance. And what we find is that actually extends way beyond the individual exercise into the rest of the day. And what our bodies will do in response to increased energy expenditure during periods of regular intense exercise is our bodies will decrease our energy expenditure during those times in which we are at rest. And this can be really frustrating because what you find is that the yield that you get for a particular effort or with a particular caloric restriction in the beginning just doesn't have the same effect. Particularly if you're persistent and you're doing this for months, you will see that the effects start to wane. And this has been the case. You can look at my TikTok video from today where I post my graph, and you can see how that graph levels out after about 6-7 months. Really at 8 months, I had very little weight loss there for several weeks, even though I was increasing my workout. So I really appreciate that everybody's joined in. And I hope if you have any questions that you'll hit up my Q&A tab. I'll try to address your questions with a particular video if it's a topic that I need to read up on. Some of them I can just answer right out of the gate. But what I find is, unfortunately, a lot of people are looking for some way to get their medical issues addressed on the internet. And I'm not going to be the guy to go through for that. Okay. If you've got diabetes or polycystic ovary syndrome or hypothyroidism, you need to talk to your physician. And, if you're really unhappy with your physician, you might need to get a different physician. But what you don't need to do is go trying to solicit medical advice on the internet. That's not what this account is for. What I do is show you my workout. I show you my workout every day that I do it pretty much. I show almost the entire workout because the exercises themselves really don't take all that long. I work out for, maybe 45 minutes, maybe 3, 4, maybe 5 times a week. A really good week, I'll get 6 days. I recommend you take Sunday off because I'm a nice guy. But what I want to do is try to talk a little bit about this thermogenic adaptation. It's a really fascinating topic from a biochemical standpoint. And it's based in part on some research that was done by a fellow out of Duke on people in Africa who have no mode of transportation other than walking. They walk a great deal. And you would think if they're walking all day compared to somebody in the United States that's sedentary, they would show a much larger energy expenditure. But they live there. They walk there like that all the time. And what happens is their bodies have adapted to conserve energy. And this is what our bodies do. They're not machines like a gas-driven automobile, where if you push harder on the gas, they'll use more gas and go faster. Our bodies are more like management organisms, where if they have fewer calories, if our bodies have fewer calories coming in, there will be an adaptation to your at-rest metabolic rate, and you will burn fewer calories. Now, it turns out when it comes to diet, it's even more aggressive because the fat cells, as they get smaller, will begin sending biochemical signals to your stomach, telling you that you're not full when you're actually full, to your brain, telling you that you're hungry when you're really not. Oh, thank you. I got a little glittery thing that popped up there. I appreciate that. Apparently, if I get likes and you guys respond, they invite more people to join the live. And so I'm new to this, and I just hit a whole bunch of new followers. So I'm just learning about that. But if you guys want to like and comment, that's great. If you have any questions, I recommend you put them on the Q&A tab. But if you want to put them here, I'll try to get to them if they deal with thermogenic adaptation, which is our body's ability to decouple the consumption of calories with the production of heat. And what we find is if we're eating more, our bodies will produce more heat. That caloric input ends up being put out as thermogenic energy. But if we are dieting, if we're cutting our energy input in an attempt to decrease our total calorie intake and lose weight, boy, our body really worries about that kind of thing, because for many, many generations, millions, thousands of years, when the calories stopped coming in, that indicated starvation and risk and the possibility of death. So to avoid starving to death, our body has developed all of these biochemical processes to store energy and processes to limit the expenditure of that storage. So thermogenic, what does it mean? Thermo is heat, genic is creation of heat, and adaptation means that that process can be varied over time. So what our body does is decrease the production of heat at rest. And what this does is conserve calories or energy input by decreasing the energy expenditure. And I can attest that this can be really frustrating. I mean, if I look at the amount of exercise that I've done over the past 3 weeks or a month, it's way more than I was doing in January. I couldn't do 5 or 6 push-ups in January. I was doing 3 types of exercises: sit-ups, push-ups, and jumping jacks. I wasn't walking like I am now. I take a brisk walk about 25 minutes a day right after I exercise. And but even though it seems like I was eating about the same amount as I was back then, I saw a plateau. I didn't really change my weight for 3 or 4 weeks. And it's frustrating when you've really had some success to all of a sudden see that curve flatten out, and you start to think, oh, well, I'm really not going to be able to get where I want to be. And I don't know why. I don't understand why I would eat the same, exercise more, and get less results. But almost any athlete can tell you that if you do the same exercise every day, you're going to get a point to which that same amount of exercise does not produce any additional benefit. And what you have to do is you got to shake it up. If you've been doing sprints, you got to be doing long hauls. If you've been running flats, you got to do uphills. If you've been lifting smaller weights, you got to increase your weight. And this is true in just about any physical endeavor. And the reality is, unless you're a Himalayan mountain climber getting up above 12, 14, 17,000 feet and decreasing the amount of oxygen that's available for you to metabolize, your body is going to adjust your calorie expenditure based on how much you take in and based on how much exercise you have been doing. Because the whole goal of this organism is to store energy for later when you might need it. This is an incredible adaptation. It's really fabulous. It's almost miraculous, but it can be really frustrating if you're trying to lose weight. So somebody asked when I first posted about this, does that mean we shouldn't exercise? Are you telling us not to exercise? Now, clearly, I'm posting my own exercises 3, 4, 5 times a week. I put everyone on TikTok pretty much. And I'm not doing that because I don't want you to exercise. I'm doing that to show you. I'm pushing 60. I really started in January. I could barely tie my own shoes. I was so out of shape and overweight. And through this simple get fit and be lean process, which combines those calisthenic exercises with a caloric approach based on portion control and a broad, varied diet that's not restrictive in a way that leaves me feeling like I'm starving to death and craving some particular type of food, I've been able to achieve these results, and they're pretty dramatic. I mean, I only started 8 or 9 months ago. I've, like I said, lost 50 pounds. That's 20% of my base weight when I started. I've continued to lose. I've lost 5 inches off my waist. But boy, there's so much more to it than just that and how I look. I stopped taking reflux heartburn medicine because I don't have that pressure from the fat in my belly. I stopped snoring, so I'm sleeping better, which means I feel better. And so I really am doing this solely for the purpose of encouraging people to, I guess I can invite people. I guess I can do that. I don't really know who that person is, but it tells me I should invite them. Oh, I can invite them to go live together. There are definitely a few doctors here online that I would love to do a combination live TikTok with, but I think I'll kind of wait as I am just starting to do the lives. I've only done a few of them, and I'm still learning about the technology behind it. Boy, we got a lot of people in the room, it seems like, but has anyone had any kind of questions about thermogenic adaptation that they'd like to put in? I'll be happy to try and answer those if I can see them. It's not that easy to see on the screen, but if anybody is on YouTube, probably the best way to reach me is by getting on TikTok and sending a message that way. That's the most likely way that I'll get it. I hope that you will go back and look at my early videos, January 1st, back in February, and see the kind of exercises that I started with, those first 3 workout exercises, sit-ups, push-ups, and jumping jacks. And I chose those because they can be adapted to almost any level of physical ability. If you can't do a push-up, you can do a push-out. If you can't do a full push-up, you can cross your legs, bend your knees, cross your legs at the ankle, and do a partial push-up. And I showed those on my workout video from today that you can see. And as far as jumping jacks, if you can't do a jumping jack, just go up on your toes, put your hands up in the air. These don't have to be done perfectly. I'm not training Olympic athletes. People kind of are unhappy with some of my form on some of the workouts. And, like I said, I'm pushing 60. I'm pretty tight. I don't really bend the way I used to bend. And I work around that. I don't use that as an excuse to not do anything. I didn't use anything as an excuse. And that's a big thing. That's one of the reasons I chose calisthenics. If you don't have anywhere to go, you can do them right in your own bedroom. If you don't have the money to join a gym or have transportation to get to the gym, you don't have to do that. You can do this with no equipment, no enrollment, no subscriptions, and you can do it starting today. As far as the dietary stuff, you don't have to have supplements or a meal plan or some kind of cleansing tea or chlorophyll drops or coffee enemas and all the crazy stuff people do to lose weight. You don't have to do that. I've lost 50 pounds and I've showed you every step of the way right here on TikTok. I'm not taking any medication on the sly. I'm not running out to the gym for an hour and a half on the days I don't video. But I am trying to make people understand the biochemical processes that underlie the difficulty in weight loss and fitness that so many people face. And the big one I'm talking about today is thermogenic adaptation. And thermogenic adaptation means the varying by your body unconsciously. All right, it's an autonomic process, and it can decrease your total caloric intake. I mean, expenditure, your energy expenditure. And this can, as I say, be pretty frustrating, particularly if you've had a little bit of success, but feel like you have a long way to go. And that's when you have to start looking at those non-scale victories and the change in the shape of your body and the increase in your vitality, because this adaptive process may mean that you don't lose weight. You might not lose weight for weeks, but one thing that I found is, when I was not doing this, I was gaining weight and I was gaining pound and a half. It might take a year. But if you do that for 10 or 20 years, you end up where you don't want to be. So if anybody has any questions, please drop them off in my Q&A, and I will try to get to them directly. But if not, I think I'm going to just recommend that you hit up my Twitter account and look at the articles. I posted one today, really interesting anthropologic study on a walking culture in Africa, and the fact that their energy expenditure is not really that detectably different from what we see here in the States, where there's much less walking and much less reason to walk. I really want to thank everybody for joining. I was really blown away on Tuesday to look and see 40,000 followers. I never expected that. You missed pretty much the whole thing because I'm not going to stay up much longer, but my videos are right there. You can go back to January 1st. You can watch every workout I've done. You can watch pretty much every meal I've eaten. You can see a picture of it. So if you want to do that, I really encourage you to, because it definitely helps my account. And helps me spread the word. TikTok has an algorithm that is pretty unpredictable. I never really know what's going to do well and what doesn't. I always think when I post my workout with pictures of the before and pictures of the after, thank you very much. I figure that that's what people want. And then I see people that are selling stuff and promoting really unhealthy behaviors that are not sustainable in the long term, and they got tens of thousands of followers, and then they'll post something that gets 1 million views, and I know how the internet works. I know that a lot of those people are paying to promote those videos because they're making money off of what they're selling. But I got nothing to sell today except enthusiasm and encouragement and a firm belief that if this is working for me, it can work for anybody. I've had broken legs. I've had surgery on my knee. I've had chondromalacia. I've had all kinds of reasons to face limitations. But you need to just work around those. You can't look at that as an excuse, because nobody's going to do it for you, and nobody can do it for you. So look at your best friend who's overweight and out of shape, and think of what you would do for them if you could. Think of how much you care for them. That's how much you got to care for yourself. That's how hard you got to work for yourself. And you've got to be aware of the potential for adaptation by your body, thermogenic reduction, uncoupling of the biochemical processes that will lead to decreased weight loss for a similar caloric intake and output. Can be quite frustrating, but it doesn't mean you're on the wrong track. It means your body is responding because you are on the right track. You're doing exactly what you need to do. And you just need to continue to do it. You may need to shake things up a little bit. There's some research that shows if you change diets, not go on and off a diet, gain the weight back, but if you go from one type of dietary restriction to another, that may be a more successful route. And obviously, anybody who's done serious physical exercises knows that if you change up your exercise, you definitely hit muscles you haven't hit before. You may hit cardiovascular harder than you've hit the muscular building. And so it's the same thing when it comes to diet. I like food. I love food. I'm not going to demonize food. I'm not going to tell you what foods you shouldn't eat. But I will tell you, you should strive for single individual human-sized portions, because I think that's where a lot of our calorie intake comes from. That tends to excessive input, excessive energy input, and obesity, which is a huge, huge problem. It's a bigger problem than it was before the pandemic. And the pandemic's one of the reasons that I started the program. It was clear that people who were overweight, obese, out of shape were having worse outcomes if they contracted COVID-19. And it's clear that it limits people's tendency or inclination to go to the gymnasium. So I wanted something they could do right in their own bedrooms or living rooms. And that's why I'm pursuing this program the way I am. I hope that you continue to watch. I hope you watch my videos. You can watch some of them today. Some of them have to do strictly with Get Fit and Be Lean. Some of them don't have anything to do with that, because I like to mix it up. But I appreciate so many people joining and followers. I love having new followers. That's really awesome. I can't really keep up with it anymore. It's been really surprising, but thank you so much, and I really appreciate it.